Getting okay. Before I start my session, I checked couple of queries on Google Classroom, and I said that there's one query which requires discussion here. Just in case anyone wants to discuss, we can do towards the end of session by sharing the screen, right? And today we'll be covering debugging in Studio and exception handling. Now, before I talk about, out of five major topics, I chose these to discuss today because, as I said previously, right, when it comes to any type of automation, programming, whatever you say, right, there are fundamentals associated with it. We have already gone through fundamentals through Explorer, uh, and I think by now you're familiar with variables, constants, how to pick activities, then it's all about your logic, how you implement a particular workflow. What is more important is how you find an error, how you improve your coding skills or your automation in this particular case, and how do you handle situations which cause error, stop your uh, programs or automation workflow during execution, how to handle those situations. So now onwards, I'll be focusing on those topics and I'll not try to cover every major aspect, which is not intended as well. But today onwards, I'll focus on, let's say, key features of this workflow. So today I'll be covering debugging and then followed by exception handling, right? All right. So first thing, when it comes to debugging, why do we want to debug? Anyone wants to talk about it for say 30 seconds?
Yeah, to ensure that the script that you have got, if it has got issues, it's not doing what you're supposed to, what is expected. You'll
Mm-hmm.
be able to step through certain, like maybe a for loop which is malfunctioning, it's giving the wrong result. You'd be able to put breakpoints over there.
Bang on. It
And
seems like that you have already gone through this section then in that case. But this is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted to hear, Swati. So what Swati just said, she also mentioned about the breakpoints, right? So the key is tracing the area of problem, right? And how do we do that is through breakpoints and programming, right? And when it comes to Studio, they have offered a lot of graphic features that you can use for the purpose. So let me start with that. If I have to say what is breakpoint, breakpoints are used to pause the debugging process purposely on an activity which may trigger execution issues. That's the definition. I'm not going in detail of it, but I will definitely focus on how to work on it, right? So this is one workflow, and while I was preparing, I have created multiple of that. I'm going to delete all of them, and we'll start from the beginning. So let's first identify what this particular workflow is doing. This particular workflow reads employee data. You can see my screen, right?
yes.
Yeah, all right. So this particular workflow reads employee data from an Excel file, opens a browser window, navigates to web form, and enters employee data into it. I'm going to run it simply for the first time, and then we'll see what needs to be done in this. It is reading from Excel, then it will open a web page, and it will start writing data. And in this particular fashion, it will write all the information that you need, right? what we are going to do is we are going to apply checkpoints, sorry, breakpoints in this particular workflow. So let's do it. As you have already seen in the form that there is first name, there is last name, and we are writing that information. So we are going to apply our checkpoint breakpoints here. To apply breakpoints, right? We have already discussed why do we need breakpoints. Now we are focusing on how to do that and how to utilize that. So there are multiple ways of applying breakpoints. Select the activity where you want to put your breakpoint, right? In my case, I'm going to put it at first name, and you can find it on the top of your ribbon inside debug. That's number one. I'm going to apply another breakpoint, let's say at email. And you can right click on it and simply apply toggle breakpoint here, right? If you do it for the first time, it will appear red. If you do it for the second time, it will disable it. And if you'll click third time, it will delete it. So let's put it back first, right? This is enabled. Now this workflow seems like has one issue, which is after first name, I can't see the last name type into activity. So let me fix that first. Then we'll move into it. For that, I'm going to run it. This was not part of the discussion, but I see an error. I'm going to fix it now. If anyone wants to work with me on this, what should I do if I have to pull a type into activity after first name? This is where you want to write. I selected this. I'm applying an anchor, and then I'm going to validate it. It is showing 100% score. That means it is okay to go. Now, what is that we want to write here? You see first name written here. Similarly, we want second name written here. Sorry, last name. So it will pick from there. I just fixed one thing. Let me recheck first that it is working fine. Then we'll get back to breakpoints. All right, now it is working as it should be. So I'm going to pause the execution. And let's get back to where we were. So we have applied two breakpoints already. And last one I'm going to apply at city state zip, right? And I'm choosing all of these for a reason. All right. So let's see what we have got here. This is the folder where we have your project. And we'll simply check what we have as data. So this is the information we are writing through automation robot on that particular form. All right. First name, last name, followed by email, followed by mobile numbers, city, state, zip, and so on. Right. All right. Now, what we can do with breakpoints. So there are multiple types of breakpoints, categories, and different utilities of it. So to figure out where it is, at the bottom, you can see breakpoints and bookmarks. You can see all these three breakpoints available here. What we can do with them. I'm going to perform some steps and you'll see some changes and then we'll talk about what they are called. So right click on this, go to settings, right? And now I'm going to apply a condition, that is current row, followed by brackets inside double quotes. You are going to, since we are interested in applying a condition on first name, let's see, first name. Dot to string is needed to convert it back to string. It was in data table, so it will be in object form as of now. Now what we want next is if it is equals. Now I'm choosing a name from the data that we have seen. Let me pull that for you. You can see the Greg is as first name. We have Greg 2 times available here, right? So we are going to apply a condition on Greg that if in this particular insertion of data, name of Greg appears second time, do let me know, right? Because there could be situations where we don't want data to be repeated, and that this is for demo purpose only, right? Equals Greg. Let me copy. Now, next column, next label is head count. When do you want this information to be provided, right? Let's say second time, right? I'm not going to use log message now, but I'll do for the next one. Now, as soon as I'm going to hit this OK button, see the difference, how it changed, right? This is called conditional breakpoint, right? Because we applied the condition, right? Now, next one is type into email address. Again, go back to settings. In this case, I'm not going to apply any condition, not hit count. I'm simply going to log a message. Let's say we have entered email sequence. This is a log message. We'll check about the functionality of continue execution when logging in a while, right? Now, as soon as I hit this OK button, see the difference again, right? This is called trace point, right? Because we are using for the tracing purpose only. Now, the last one. Let's work on the last one. Type into city state zip. And we are going to use all these features, condition, hit count, log message, all of them for this. So what we have in current row, we want to work on this particular column. So I'm going to copy this. Inside double quotes, place this. make it dot to a string. And by now, uh, you know why we are doing this. Next thing is we want to make sure that if there is a person who lives in if there is a person who lives in Washington and this data appears for the second time, let us know, right? And that's what we are going to check here. For that, we have a method called contains, and what you want to check is Washington. When we want to check on the second appearance, right? And what message you want to do here? Okay, current row followed by first name, followed by plus, followed by a space, followed by current row, followed by brackets, followed by double quotes. Inside that, we want last name. So what we are going to print here is if we get a record where we have Washington in address, we want to print the name and last name of that person. Again, I'm not going to use this continue execution now. We'll do it later. All right. So I was getting a red underline that told me a couple of things that I forgot to add this concatenation operator. Then there was something missing as toString that has to be added. Now, as soon as I hit this OK button, see the changes at the bottom. You can see that it is combination of above two, right? So it is a trace point as well, as well as conditional breakpoint. So it has both the features available. Now, let's see what happens when we run this. I have to close this. Okay. I will run it in debug mode. Watch the output panel on the left side. Now you can see that after Lucas last name entered, the flow stopped working, right? Why? We have applied a trace point here, and you can see that email address is yet not written. Now I'm going to click continue and watch this part. We have in the output panel, you can see we have entered email sequence, right? I'm going to click continue on the top. Again, it paused at email sequence because of that trace point. This is more about observation, the kind of tracking you want to perform, right? So let it run all the records and then we'll talk. Again, it paused. I'm going to hit continue. Now it paused again. Now you can see that the message is Richard Dempsey lives in Washington, right? This was the third one that we have applied, trace point as well as conditional breakpoint. I'm going to hit continue again. And remember, since we have applied it for two, it will let us know only for the second time, not for all the records, not for all the records. Again, it paused as email. Continue. Okay, now it paused at the beginning. Will anybody able to tell me why it is paused now? Looking at this left side panel. You see this? If you're writing something on chat, yes, so did you mention it correctly, Greg? Okay, so because we have applied another condition, that is whenever Greg appears for the second time, please let us know, right? And I'm going to hit continue again. Email sequence, continue. So execution is stopped here because all the records are fetched and written. Now let's analyze what has happened here. Every time, whatever conditions we have applied and to check, we have placed log messages, and at places we have applied conditions. Every time, whatever conditions we have applied met, right? So if you suppose if there is a situation where you don't want Greg again, you can replace it, and we'll talk about it, how to do that. We are reaching email sequence every time. So, and one could relate this that there is no error up to email sequence, right? That is another checkpoint that you are applying, right? In the same fashion, we don't want, let's say we are talking about staff, right? We don't want two people to live at same location, right? So we can check that thing with this kind of scenario. And we can apply the necessary logic to fix these things. Now, one of the issues that we have encountered, every time we were reaching out to a particular breakpoint, it is being stopped and we have to click continue. What we can do to fix that? Actually, it is purely based on your requirement, but I'm just letting you know what we can do about it. Let's go back to settings of email and click on continue log execution logging, right? Similar way, let's do this for city state, continue execution and logging. Now let me run this for the last time for the breakpoints purpose and run. So this time you have observed that it is not stopping at email sequences, and if it is working fine, it will not stop with Washington as well. But it will stop with Greg because we have not checked continue execution. Okay, it didn't stop at this one as well. And the reason is this particular condition is applied only for log messages. Continue execution when logging. Since we have not applied any log here, now it is enabled and now we can check it. So the learning is to have this stopping functionality, which we are supposed to have at least one log message available, then only it will function as we intend to perform. Now, any questions around this?
Can we add like conditions based on conditions, messages like passed, failed?
When you say pass fail, you mean what you're referring
For
to?
example, I found two Gregs in the data in the file that I was going through.
Mhm.
So I want to add, at a glance, I should be able to give my person who is executing that we found two such records at row number this and this. Right now they have to go
Uh,
through the log, isn't it?
no. That is not the case. See, uh, you are going one step ahead, right? This is when you are developing your automation, right? This
Yeah,
this is not a situation where when somebody like who is an end user using your automation. You can provide whatever information you want to provide to your end user. You may not want to stop your flow here, and you can apply filters on your output data and say that okay, we have got 5 Gregs, 10 Swatis, right? That is an
right,
end user thing. This is under development, and the whole intent behind using breakpoints is to find a logical error that is happening, and uh, you're not able to identify in general, right? So,
right,
so this is when you are doing your coding stuff, when you're developing your coding stuff, right?
right,
So as soon as I applied on the count of two, for example, we applied for Washington, we applied for Greg, right? What you
right.
want to search is, as soon as second Greg appears, you know that something is fishy and you want to apply some logic to get it fixed, right? That is
Yeah,
what we are trying to trace. This is about tracing, not fixing.
okay,
You're getting a point here. The whole idea behind breakpoints is to identify the problem area, not the fixing. Fixing, you'll do it in your logic again.
okay.
Is it making sense to you?
Could you
Okay.
repeat that?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have understood that this is mainly for debugging purpose.
Yes.
I'm thinking from a different perspective that, if I want to, uh, send out results or reports,
So
which
that is
come
the that is
later.
I got
That
it.
will come later.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
that was it. I mean, this is under development. This is not something which is under production, right? This is
Right, right.
something which you are developing. Then once you are done with your project, you may decide what you want to show to your end user, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So this is one of the features that you want to use in debugging. Now there are some other interesting features, and for that, I'm going to remove all of these. Workflow is going to be same for next demonstration. Now we are going to see something called panels. When I say panels, I will have to show you that. Let me put it. Currently, in my screen, if you watch this section on my left side of the screen, you don't see anything written like local, watch, or immediate. Now that is a very special feature I personally like very much. Uh, and it appears only when you are in debugging mode. So let's do that. Now I'm going to use this multiple assign first name, last name, things like that. And how it looks like is we are placing first name and last name together. That's why it is multiple assignment activity. I'm going to apply a breakpoint here. And then I'm going to run it. What you have to do is watch the left part of the screen. That it has to be the debug. Now you can see watch panel here, immediate panel here. Earlier when it was running, local was available, but watch and immediate are something which are only available during execution in debugging mode, right? So we have to see what they are and we'll work on this one by one. So with watch panel, developers can add variables, expressions, provide real-time visibility into their values and things like that. This is theory. Let's see how to do that. These were previously added, so let me remove all of them first. Okay, so this is my watch panel. This section is called locals. Everything that is happening in terms of value is visible in this section, but let's talk about this project itself. We have, let's say, 20 different values, but we cannot see all of them at once. And at real time, it is hardly possible to monitor all of them, right? And then there could be values. I mean, there could be fields of interest, less interest, high interest. Based on that, you can choose what values you want to monitor, right? And for that purpose, you have got this watch, right? You can add fields to this watch panel in multiple ways. We'll do all of them one by one. Let's go back to projects first, that locals first. Way number one, let's say I want to monitor first name value. I will right click on it and click add to watch, right? Second way, I'm going to variables in the panel, center part of it. We have number of variables available here. Last name, we want to monitor. Right click and hit the add watch, right? Next thing, let's say we want to monitor the table itself, the users itself. Click on data manager, right click on DT underscore users and hit the add watch. These are three different ways on the screen. Then we have got more ways, right? Let's say we are interested in some values that are not otherwise we are writing anywhere. For example, okay, so you can see something in italic, add, hit in this place, and let's then type first name dot length. Now you see that first name dot length is nowhere available in our workflow, but we want this value to monitor, so we can do that. Give me a sec. All right. We want to monitor more things. Let's say we want to see first name, last name together. We can do that. What else we can do? We want to see the email ID value for the current one. Okay, one last. We can apply values to users as well. And we want to see uh, how many records we have got here. Now watch these expressions or fields on the left and their corresponding value on the rightmost type, and in the middle you can see the type. What difference do you see in last two and the previous one? Anyone can tell me? We have placed a number of fields to monitor here. What difference do you see here in expression value things here? At number of places, there is no available value. Why is that? We'll come to know now. Okay, now you can see the situation. We have added a number of fields to monitor in watch panel. My execution is in between. It is not stopped. It is in break condition right now, right? Now I'm going to tell you about the other features that we are going to use next. We are stopped here at multiple assign first name and last name activity. Now we are going to I'm going to hit step over, and you can see the symbols here. Step over, step into itself says what it is all about. I'm going to hit step over, and you are supposed to monitor the values on this watch panel. Now you can see we have got the values for all the fields that we had. whatever information we had previously is because we were using coding to connect with existing data table, right? That's where we were getting the email ID and the row count by default. But the things that we are capturing from this uh, execution is appeared once we executed that particular activity. In our case, we just executed multiple assign first name and last name. What step over does is, where now you can see that type into first name is highlighted in this particular case, right? But it is not executed. It is telling you that next, this is the place which is going to execute, right? Let me open this window. Now, as soon as now I'm going to hit step into, you can see that it says the next. You can follow the symbol itself, right? Next thing. I'm going to hit step into, and you see that Greg is typed into, and the focus shifted to the last name. I'm going to hit this again, step into, and Lucas is typed in the last name. Similarly, we can continue for all the records, or we can simply hit the continue button. Since we do not have any other breakpoint, it will continue and execute. Let it run all the records, and then we'll move to the next section. By the time it is executing, any question for watch panel? Now, next time I don't want my execution to stop. What should I do? Can anyone tell me? Anyone? Let me know if I'm going fast, because one of the intentions I have today onwards is not to finish things, but to make things comfortable, at least the topics that I cover. So one of the questions is, we can add watch while in debugging mode, or we can add watch while in developing mode. So it is only available during debugging mode. All right, it seems like we are done with the execution. I'm going to stop this. What is this window? Okay, with that, we are done with watch thing. Now we are going to talk about immediate panel, which is again an interesting feature to track and see things how it works. Let me open the workflow again. So we are going to use the same workflow and same breakpoint for the purpose. But this time our objective would be immediate panel rather than watch panel. For that, we have to go to debug and run the flow in debug mode. Okay. Okay, so it is stopped at the relevant place where we are expecting it to stop. Now we will work on immediate panel. You can, based on your settings or whatever version you are using, these things may appear on the top, bottom, but it will appear on the left side itself. So don't bother if you don't see it like the way I'm looking at right now. I clicked on immediate and this window is visible to me. Now, with immediate, we can actually communicate with the flow, right? And when I say so, it offers a dynamic debugging experience by executing custom expressions and evaluating variables without modifying the workflow. What it helps you with is, let's say there is there's a field called age, right? And the value you're getting is in letters rather than numbers, and it is causing a problem to you, right? You want to test that what will happen if this value is changed to numbers. You can do it upfront directly to this immediate panel and check the difference. If it is working for you, you might want to make the changes in the logic uh, while working on this workflow. So you can basically it will allow you to test your values at runtime. So that is the fundamental. So how to work on that? So let's start with the basics. What do you want to see? Let's identify the first name in the current scenario. I just wrote after this bracket symbol first name and the value is null. Now I'm going to step over and I'm going to okay. Uh, Another shortcut. In your keyboards, you have up arrow and down arrow. If you have already written something and you don't want to write it again because there could be expressions of long length, so you can simply use up arrow to reach to previous value, down arrow for the next value. Now you see first name is appeared as Greg, right? Let's say we want to identify the length, right? uh, we want to find out what type of data it is carrying, right? Is system.string, right? Similarly, you can perform some operations like current row, current row's name. Let's pick it. Remember to convert it into a string. And I'm going to put one more value associated with this person only. Which one? Let's say civil status and convert it to string. Now you can say Greg is married and has children, right? So this way you can communicate with the system directly. Can we modify the value? Let's see. Now what I just did is I'm assigning a new value to name. Now you can see first name is now available as Hershakti, right? So we just did a modification. Similarly, you can modify any field here and see the difference here. And based on that, you can make changes in logic as per the requirement. Any question in this? If no, I'm going to perform one action that will help you to understand it better. What I just did is I did something, right? You can see that the name written on this particular text box is Harshakti rather than Greg. So we change it and it is applicable right away. So that is the power of immediate panel. Okay. By the time it is executing, if you have any queries, you can ask, or else I'll move to the next session. Yes, so I guess, Sumaya, you got your answer with this, right? With the display. It is changed in table as well. Yes, it did. Okay. I'm stopping this particular execution because data is not going to, I mean, logic is not changed. The objective is to talk about immediate panel. All right. What next? Next we have, okay, this is another interesting feature that I wanted to talk. For that, I'm going to remove this breakpoint. And now we are going to work on profile execution. For that, I have different workflow. Okay, before we work on profile execution, it is important that we check what we are working on, right? So for that, so this is the data on which we are working right now. The data was kind of huge, so I kind of deleted multiple rows from it in the interest of time. Now we have 4 records here, one of which doesn't have email ID available, and rest of the records are same as we have seen earlier, right? So this is what we are dealing with right now. And this is a different workflow, let me tell you. And same logic, nothing changed, right? Let me run this first and then we'll talk about the profile execution. Now you can see here on the rightmost side before open logs, we have something written as profile execution. This is what we are going to use. By default, it appears like this. To use this feature, you are supposed to enable it. For this, you have to go on the top of it and click once. Now it is enabled. It is available inside debug. So you're supposed to go there and hit it to use it, right? Now I'm going to run this. Don't get irritated if it works slow because that is the whole intent of looking into it. After this execution, I would like you to participate in discussion that I'm going to initiate. So we are done with the execution. Let's see what happened. So since we have already enabled profile execution, at the bottom of right side, you can see something written as profiling, and that gives us a lot of information. How? Follow me. On the top of this, you can see plus symbol and the minus symbol. Plus is to populate and minus is to shrink, right? What it is telling you, what percentage of time it has taken to perform a particular sequence or activity. Obviously, main is the main file. It took 100% time. Just before after that, it is sequence. So it took 100% time. Then use browser took 90.5% of time, 87 and so on, right? By observing these things, can anybody tell me why we want to look into these things?
We can predict how much time the script will take for execution and which process or which activity is taking more time, and if we can reduce that time.
Awesome. Bang on again. So the whole objective of looking into this kind of description is we want to analyze if there is a particular activity or sequence or any section of our flow is taking longer than usual or taking longer than other activities that we want to identify, right? And we'll do it for some of them and we'll try to fix it. So can you tell me, let's look into the activities, right? Can you tell me where do you see some problem? Anyone. You can look into these three or these two.
Click and submit. Another response is taking 42.8%, 41 seconds, I think.
This one is taking
Yeah,
a lot of time.
41 seconds, I think. Yeah, it's taking a lot more time. So maybe the page load or response to the server needs to be tweaked or something.
Absolutely. So you're bang on again. Why it took a lot of time is because of this. You can see that we do not have a value here for email. And what this flow has done is it checked for the value multiple times, and then it decided to move on because we have enabled few properties. So let's work on that. So we are supposed to take multiple actions here. But first, let's go to the properties of submit another response. And you can see that continue on error is made true, right? And that is why it didn't stop there. When it doesn't get a value for a email ID, it didn't stop there, rather continued. So again, it depends on the kind of workflow you want to build. If that value is not important, you might want to uncheck this. If that is important, you might want to check it. Second place where you want to make changes is apply this value. So let me run it once more without making changes here. Continue on error. See if we get some changes here in the performance of click button. In the meantime, I want others to look or think about the other situations that we might want to fix. Execution is done. Now let's analyze again. Do you see any changes?
Yes, it's
And it is
dropped to 6.2%.
yes, so that is a significant one, right? And
Yes.
by that way, you are improving your process. Now, let's look into one other aspect. First name and last name. Both are type into activities, correct?
Yeah.
And you can see that last name is taking 9.1%. However, first name is taking 23.9%. So there must be something wrong with this. Again, since I know what is the problem, I'm able to tell you what it is. In actual scenario, it may take a lot of research to figure out what is wrong with this, right? So I just compared first name and last name, right? I'll go to properties of first name and I see something which is not in last name. In last name, we do not have any delay before value. In first name, we have a value in delay before, which is 3. 3 seconds is a lot of time. I'm keeping it by default, which is 0.2 second. After removal of delay before, I'm again saving it and run it. Then login, then email ID. And I hope this would be the last record. Now we can already see a lot of difference. When we started fixing this, the time was above 1 minute. Now it is less than 1 minute, around 45 seconds. Now, this is the last uh, thing that I want to discuss. Look into type into activities and let me know if you still find any problem with these. All of you, please have a look. I'm talking about this section only. In this section, do you see any problem? Yeah, in chat, last name is more. Okay, good. Okay, so let's fix last name in that case. Again, the way we should look into is go to type into activities, check for properties. What is the difference that you're looking at? In this particular case, input mode for first name is same as app browser. Let's look into type into email as well. Again, it is same as app browser. But if you look into the last name, it is saying hardware events, right? So that might be causing actual trouble. I am going to change it and save it. And I'm going to run it for the last time. Now, let's look into these things again. Now, one of the things that you should always keep in mind, we just saw that the first name was taking lesser time earlier. Now it took again 12.3%. A lot of things also depend on your internet connection. But in total, percentage will tell you that where you are. and we just fixed what? Last name. Now it is reduced to 5.8. All right, are we good with this? Any question, anything that you want to ask here? Should I consider it a no? No questions? In that case,
Can this help us find out if the wireframe or the page is heavyweight or lightweight?
uh, this will definitely help you in identifying which activity is taking, which activity can be considered as an outlier in terms of performance, right? We just compared 4 or 5 type into activities, and we identified one of them is taking significantly larger time than others. So that what we identified. The term that you are using, wireframe, is more related to the world of web development, right?
Right.
This particular framework or studio that on which we are working on is not going to help you with the loading time of a particular website or something, right? It purely depends on number of situations. Your internet may be slow or the site itself may be heavy, but you cannot do anything about it, right? Because the site on which you are working, for example, the form on which we were working,
Yeah.
it's not created by me, right? It is
Yeah.
as it is. It depends on number of situation, like maybe server is not responding in at that point in time. It took time. Your system itself is having a lot of cache, uh, uh, and it is not allowing you to load in the fast manner. So wireframe, no. Activity, yes. You can talk at
Okay.
activity level here, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, with that, I'm going to the moving to the last section for the day, that is exception handling. And that is again a key thing whenever it comes to programming, because you're going to deal with a lot of unknown situations. But for that, we are going to use an existing workflow. And the objective would be how to incorporate in your workflow. All right, awesome. We are already having one error, so let's fix it once. This is showing something that it has some error for sure. That with this symbol I came to know, right? Since I already worked a lot, I know that this is more about version. When this particular workflow was created, the activity we had at that point in time is not compatible with what we have right now. So I'm going to replace this activity with the current one. Read range workbook, we require it to read workbook, and we have that workbook available inside data. And then we want to tell which sheet needs to be read. That is sheet 1. But if you are reading a workbook, the data must be kept somewhere. That is data table. We already have a variable to capture that information called dt underscore information. We are going to use this. Now, by this action, we We will be able to read Excel that we have seen and capture that information in this particular variable. Now let me run this first and then we'll talk about what we intend to do. So this was a simple workflow that will read data from Excel and write that information in one of the applications that UiPath has created for the purpose of learning and teaching. That is UI demo, right? So read data, write it to that particular application after logging. Now we are supposed to talk about try catch and all, right? So let's do that. To discuss that, I'll keep this Excel sheet open. This is open and I'm going to run this again. And this is what I wanted to see. Now it is saying that this is a runtime execution error. The source of error is read range and the message is the process cannot access the file because it is being used by another process. So this is one of the many type of exceptions that we handle and it is inside the category of system.io.io exception, right? How to deal with such situations which we don't know may or may not appear depending on situation, right? There could be situation end user is using the same file at backend, right? So what to do? To handle such situations, we have an activity called try catch that we can pull from here. That is one way. Another way of doing it is right click on the activity or the sequence um, uh, or the workflow itself, which you want to put under try catch and choose surround with try catch, right? Now you can bring as many as activities inside try portion of it, right? But since we are interested in this one, I'm keeping read range workbook here. This red symbol tells me that there are actions needs to be performed, right? Give me a sec. All right. Next is catches. What we want to do here. We have already seen that type of exception is io.exception from that particular message. But there could be scenarios when we don't know what type of exception it is. In that case, I would recommend go for system.exception because this is super class of all the exception. But it is recommended that if you know the type of exception, follow that particular exception, right? Okay, so as of now, what we have done, we have placed the activity that we want to monitor against any exception inside try. Next, we have uh, chosen a particular type of exception that may be caught in case there is an exception, right? What next? We want to log this and I'm going to use log message activity. and we'll choose warn. I mean, we can choose info as well, but this is a kind of warning that we want to place why it is not executing. And you can write anything, but I'm going to tell you something which is of more value. Exception dot message. Tell me what the exception is. Also, I'm using concatenation operator followed by a space. Also, tell me the source of it. We place it this way. Plus exception dot source. So till now, we have applied try to monitor. We have applied catch. We may have number of catches, right? We can add as many as we want, or we may expect. If we are expecting a argument exception, this is the place. Null reference exception, this is the thing that you want to choose, and you can add multiple, right? Now there is a third block. Now there is a third block which is called finally. It will execute if you've got an exception, or if you don't got an exception. Anyways, it is going to be executed, right? So this is where you want to apply your logic. In this case, we want to kill the process. If there is an open Excel, please click it, kill it. That's what we want to do. So for that, we will tell the process name, that is Excel dot exe, and kill it, right? So let me run it once and then see. And you see that this sheet is still open, right? And I'm going to run it. And it is working, but we have got a null reference exception. We'll fix it later. But the problem that we had as of now is not there, right? So the next thing that we faced is about reference. That is, we have here. We'll go to properties. I'm going to delete this and creating a new variable dt and _ info. Somebody may ask why we are doing this. Just because the workflow that we are using is from the old version, and the new version is not compatible with it, and that's why it is creating some problems for me, but I'll fix it. Control K, let's say dt underscore info. And it is of data table type, so we are selecting it. Let me re-verify. Yes, that's correct. And for each, we have to modify dt underscore. No, it is visible. That removed our error. Let me run it once more and then we'll look into the other aspects. Not sorted yet. Okay, again, no problem with the code. I think let me restart this particular one and run it again. No, there is no issue with the variable scope. I checked that. Okay, one of the question is by the time it is loading, why we gave delay before and delay after? That's an interesting question, and if you have worked on UI as of now, you might have seen the situations where your robot wants to click on an individual button, right? So there could be situations that like somebody asked that uh, wireframe is taking more time loading, right? So there could be situation the site is not uploaded completely or the page is not uploaded completely. Your robot is expecting to click on submit button, but it is not visible. So we tell the system wait for 3 4 seconds or 5 seconds depending on the type of website you are working on, and then execute. Same goes with the delay after, right? There could be situation when we want to tell that after executing this activity, wait for this much time and then only execute. So more or less they perform same activity, same thing, but your activity could be first or last. So based on that, you choose delay before or delay after. Let me run it once more. Mhm. We are over time. We'll take another 15 minutes. I hope that is fine. I'm restarting it again because this is more like a problem with my system rather than the code logic. So I just pulled another uh, code that created earlier, and let me run this. Okay, this is working fine. All right, so this is working fine. Why I said is because it has another code implemented, and how it is like. Okay, so what is changed is we have already seen the working of try, catch, and try, catch, and finally another logic that I wanted to tell you is about a throw feature of try, catch exception. This is how it looks like. Throw, right? Whenever you put a throw exception, you are supposed to give a condition under which you want to tell the end user there is some problem, right? Why we want to have a separate when we have try, catch, and finally why we want to have throw. Try catch is defined for catching the inbuilt exceptions that we already have. But imagine a scenario when you have a business logic exception. When I say business logic exception, we can simply take an example of ATM, whereby somebody wants to draw $200. However, he or she has $100 in his account, right? So to handle such business logic exceptions, we want to flash a message, and we have to handle these situations separately. For that, we can throw a message of exception, and that is where throw comes in the picture, right? So this is the way to pull the throw, but this requires some logic to happen. For that, what we have done is we have incorporated if activity, and if is followed by if, else, and then, right? What we have done is this is my condition, convert dot to int 32, row 1 dot to string is greater than 100. Now, what is this row 1? Let me show you. When we say row 1, it is talking about the information available here. Now, we are saying if the value is greater than 100, then tell the user that this is the value is greater than 100 and you cannot withdraw, right? So, as soon as somebody tries to withdraw greater than this value, uh, exception will be thrown. Let's go back to the logic again. So this was the condition. Now, after that inside, then we have pulled throw activity and we have applied a message. This is new. New is a keyword. Business rule exception is a method inside which we are passing a message. The values are out of range because it is greater than 100. So this is the message we are flashing. If this business logic exception is not happening, then go as usual. I mean, the way it is working earlier, right? And that is where you were getting an error. Now let's say, let me change this value to 200. It will logging, no issues with the, but as soon as second record comes in, it will show the message. We can also change the message. Okay. Anything, any question for this discussion, today's discussion, or anything else that you want to discuss? For the next session, I will be focusing only on orchestrator, nothing else, because that is, I think, as per me, is most important topic of whole learning plan. So I'll be focusing on orchestrator only. If it required me to continue my discussion on orchestrator, we'll continue. Okay, somebody asked about what is read-through activity. Uh, since we are out of time, I'll show you the example of it again. But read-through activity is something that it is counterpart of throw activity, but it may appear in the second execution, third execution, or fourth execution rather than the first execution. And for that, you don't need to have this logic what you saw right now. Rethrow activity appears in your try catch logic itself, right? You are supposed to tell in finally how you want to handle that, right? Rather than rethrow, you will not put rethrow here. The we placed in current situation, right? So I'll talk about rethrow. I'm keeping a note of it just in case you want to continue. Anything else besides? Do you
I
want?
have a question.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, we saw that with a version change, the script requires us to modify it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I've pushed something out to the end user, I created a script, it was working fine, and I have created a automation for the end user to use. And now, with a new version being released of UiPath, would that impact my already released script?
No, it will not. See, so here's the difference. Currently, you are in development phase, right? When you publish something, whenever you publish your project, you publish it along with the required packages. If you have
Okay,
worked on any particular language as of now, right? You know that if I'm going to publish my project on cloud or anywhere else on any machine, in-house, anywhere, right? We will share the complete project. It is not going to be like that. Tomorrow, if some new version comes in, your package will change, right? It will go with that package itself, and you can see itself on my screen. Let me show you. It already had all the dependencies required, right?
okay,
Now, what I'm doing differently is I'm pulling it to the new system in my updated version, right? That is why it is causing trouble. Otherwise, if it is published somewhere, it will handle or it will execute with the required set of packages that are needed for it, right? It is not so. Short answer, it is not going to impact with the version if it is already published.
got it. Okay.
All right. So keep learning. We have got another 2 sessions or 3 sessions, I'm not sure, but it is ending somewhere in November itself. The key is you try to complete the course within time so that you can ask questions. The questions you have asked on Google Classroom, I mean, if the person is here, there are some questions which require more description, or you may share your screen. I'm happy to discuss. Anyone else, if wants to leave, leave. And if you have anything that you want to discuss with me by sharing screen, I'm happy to discuss. I'm good with that. I have time today.
So Anuj, I want to jump in before somebody asks a question. So thank you so much for all your participation. And we are taking it very seriously. So we are planning something very exciting for all of you. I don't know whether I mentioned it earlier. So we are coming out with an assessment for all the participants in this cohort, wherein once you finish this training, we are going to come out with an assessment wherein you can take that assessment, and if you score a certain percentage of marks, I will come back to you with what is that percentage. But if you score a certain percentage of marks, we want to give you certification of this particular course, completely discounted for this participants in this cohort. The why we thought about it is because the idea of all of you doing this is to get back into the corporates, get back into your career. So, however you say, whatever training you have done, if you are not certified in that particular thing, corporates may not look at you, and it is little difficult for corporates also to assess the knowledge you possess in that particular technology. So, certification is the answer to all of that queries, questions, doubts, and things like that. So, we would want to offer that this specific thing to all the participants so that you utilize it to the maximum. And I encourage people, if you have friends in the group, please let them know if they are not part of this call, to take this seriously, because we are putting a lot of efforts in it. Anuj is taking a lot of effort, her jobs is taking a lot of effort to do this. So I want all of you who is attending this particular cohort to come out as a certified resource, and that's the best foot to put forward. In the coming days, I will share more details about it, how you can do that and what is it. So it is basically an assessment which you are going to take, and if you cert each percentage what you score will have a advantage to it, starting from 50% and above. And say, for let us assume for the better understanding, if you score 85%, we may give you that particular person a discount, I mean, a certification voucher, which is completely discount. And this is, Anuj, correct me if I'm wrong, this particular certification is somewhere around $150 to $200.
Yes, sir.
So, so please take this seriously, and we would all want all of you to come out as a certified resource. So thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for hearing. Thank you so much for asking so many questions. It is very encouraging for us to see that many people are interested to see what is in it and the effort which we are taking. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit, for this information to our candidates. Well, if they have any queries, they'll ask in Google Classroom, and even me, I'll sort it out on WhatsApp groups as
So
well.
all the information, I will share it with you, Alekia, and
Yes,
we will discuss. So there are a couple of other things which we need to discuss. So we can
sure.
discuss separately. I just want to, because I don't get all of these people together in a call. So I thought, okay, let
Yeah,
me.
yeah. Sure, we'll connect. Sure.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Anuj, is there anything to?
No, not from my side. It's just that please write your questions on Google Classroom. Last time it took me some time to respond because of Diwali and etc. But usually I do respond within 2 days. So please reach out. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Anuj. The next session is on 15th November. As-
All right.
Yeah, November 15th. We'll see you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank-
Okay, all right. Thank you. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Thanks, Anuj. Bye.
Bye bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.